US President Joe Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping will hold their first meeting in almost a year. The meeting will take place next week on the sidelines of the APEC summit in San Francisco. Joining me now live is Dean of Global Futures at Curtin University, Professor Joe Siracusa. Thank you so much for joining us as always, Professor. What's the significance of these talks and what will be on the agenda?
Well, the significance, Tanika, and good morning, is that U.S.-Chinese relations at their lowest point in many years, and that they're not agreeing on a whole lot of things. And so the significance is that they want to put this relationship back on the rails and talk about some areas where they could avoid disagreement, like the Philippines and Taiwan and chips and that kind of thing. So can you imagine, though, Danica, that the President seeing President Xi on Wednesday is a relief from news from Ukraine, news from the Gaza war. I mean, going to see this guy is sort of like repair damage. But after the week President has had, and with the coming shutdown, which we'll talk about, this is the highlight of his week.
Oh, I'm sure it is as well. And as you know, of course, Anthony Albanese just went to China. Why are suddenly world leaders, I guess, offering an olive branch to China after all these years?
Well, I think it's going both ways. I mean, the Chinese have kind of cooled it, that wolf warrior nonsense they were talking about earlier a couple of years ago, where they were screaming at people. That's off the table. The Chinese are serious players, and keep this in mind too. The Chinese play for the long game. Most of the other democracies that deal with them are in for the short term. That is a short game. They get elected every couple of years. This guy's sort of there for a lifetime, so he's got all the time in the world to develop these things. And of course, it's very important that the United States of America and the People's Republic of China don't make any mistakes in the years ahead, because the intelligence community has identified China as the #1 threat to the United States. We got war parties in Congress that are gearing up for the war with China, which I don't think is ever going to happen. And we keep jumping up and down about Taiwan and places like that, and that's not going to happen either. So, there are important things to safeguard against. And I think it's important that leaders meet from time to time. Now, this President Biden hasn't met President Xi now in over a year since the Bali meeting, the G20. So it's important they get together, though it's not, it doesn't prevent conflict. I'd much rather see the foreign ministers be in touch with each other. And of course, the most troubling thing, I think, Danica, about the Chinese-American relationship is that the Defense Department, that is, the military people, aren't really answering the phone. They're still angry at being sanctioned or being blacklisted by the Americans. So there's important things to do there. But yeah. President Biden, he's got to play the game.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a very fair point. Look, let's move on now. Of course, another US shutdown is looming, as you alluded to. What is causing this time?
Well, the last time was just sort of a brief measure for a couple weeks, month, whatever it was, and they can do this from time to time. Look, shutting down the U.S. government is a substantial slap in the face to the American public. The people there are arguing for lower ceilings on spending and that kind of thing. And we got a new speaker who's finding his way around. He's going to have to negotiate this. And of course, whatever you do, you have to, in the House, which originates the money bills, you got to go to the Senate to get approval. So you got to deal with these people. So you got a whole lot of people in the House of Representatives who continually be angry with each other about all kinds of things. And, they have to come up with these appropriations. Now, it's not going to stop Social Security, but it's going to put 4 million workers out of work, that is, or they'll go on furlough and that kind of thing. So it's not a very good look, and Wall Street doesn't like it either.
No, that's a very good point. We'll be watching this one very closely. Joe Siracusa, always great to speak with you. Thank you so much for joining us.